Tom Elliott, Ulster Unionist leader, thanks for your time. Your party, the Ulster Unionists, has shrunk, some would say, to a shadow of itself. No MPs, some unhappy with your leadership have quit. Why should the electorate back what some might see as a failing party?
Well, the Ulster Unionist Party have always been a responsible party of government in Northern Ireland, and for many years obviously provided good leadership, still continue to provide that within the context of Northern Ireland. And what we want to see is a much better integration of society in Northern Ireland, instead of the carve-up between Sinn Féin and the DUP that we currently have at the moment.
But they did get most seats last time. They got more ministries than you or the SDLP. That's fair play.
Yes, but I think we must realise that it was in a different context. We must also realise the context that we're in at the moment, whereby there is a cosy relationship on one hand between Sinn Féin and the DUP, who almost need each other to survive, who almost need that mutual carve-up that they have between the two parties. What we're offering from the Ulster Unionist Party is something different. We're offering the opportunity for a much better integrated society. Instead of that carve-up, we're actually offering the people to have a much better economy, because we are the people who actually brought forward the idea of the corporation tax devolution, brought forward the idea of enterprise zones, and were the people who actually led on the Presbyterian Mutual Society resolution.
Tom, you say the last Assembly's greatest achievement was that it survived. Some people would disagree and say some good things were done economically, like more jobs. But for the Ulster Unionists to survive, like any party, you need young people to join. And young people, 20% of them are on the dole. How would you get them back to work?
Well, our proposals around the corporation tax devolution, we feel, will attract many more jobs in Northern Ireland. It will attract not only foreign investment, but it will help grow our indigenous businesses as well. And I think that's why many within the private sector are actually crying out for corporation tax devolution, simply because they see it as an opportunity to help them grow their business. Many businesses are actually moving their headquarters down to the Republic of Ireland for one reason, and that reason being that the corporation tax is much more attractive.
Of course, there's a danger. There's a danger with corporation tax that big business could be lured to the province and just have their headquarters here, brass plate here, and make big profits, pay low wages to staff. Are the Ulster Unionists not more concerned about big business than these 20% young people who are unemployed?
Well, clearly with new business you will actually get more people employed. That's the key to it. We don't want to see them just set up their headquarters here. We want to ensure that they have an established business here, and that they are actually employing people. That is the key to it, and I think that's how it needs to be delivered. We need to ensure that companies just can't set up their headquarters in Northern Ireland and not actually deliver jobs. We will not allow that to happen.
Tom, is the £4 billion of spending cuts too severe? Would you advocate less? And is there a way of not having to reduce public sector jobs in health and education so severely?
Well, I think within most departments there are opportunities for some efficiency savings. And I know the Department of Health under Michael McGimpsey was the only department that carried through in its review of public administration, reduced its number of quangos, reduced the number of bodies that are actually allocated to the Department of Health, with a frontline saving of £53 million per year. That money is actually going back into the frontline services within the Department of Health. So we need to see more of that. There are huge opportunities within the review of public administration of local government that was promised but never happened, within education that never happened.
Of course.
There are huge opportunities there that we haven't availed of.
Yes, of course. Michael McGimpsey, it's interesting you should raise that. Didn't fund the cancer units that was proposed at Altnagelvin Hospital, much to the anger of other parties who pledged that they would fund that. That wasn't a great example.
Well, I think what Michael McGimsey did with the cancer unit was beyond his control. Number one, it was him who actually developed the whole proposal around the cancer unit at Altringelvin. It was him and the Ulster Unionist Party who brought those proposals forward for it. The difficulty was he had three problems as to why he couldn't deliver it at this stage. Number one being that the business case wasn't released from the Department of Finance and Personnel. Secondly, that there was no clarification around the finance from the Republic of Ireland, where 30% of the patients for it will come from. And by the way, I have no objection to that, and actually would help to make it much more sustainable. And thirdly, there was no revenue funding delivered from the executive and from the Department of Finance to actually staff it and keep it running. So those three issues need to be dealt with. Can I say that the Ulster Unionist Party are totally committed to that cancer centre at Altringelvin and want to see it delivered? And we have thrown down the challenge to say, look, that should be one of the first decisions of the next assembly is to ensure that it will be built, and let the other parties put their money where their mouth is.
The Real IRA threatened on Easter Monday to kill more police in Northern Ireland. How do we deal with that threat? What's the key thing that we have to do?
Well, I think it's important that by and large society in Northern Ireland stay together in this, and that they not only condemn them, which is important as well, but I think we need real action from those people who can help. And there are a number of people within the mainstream Republican movement who actually know who these people are within the dissidents, who know who have the capabilities of making bombs, who have the capabilities of planting bombs, and who have the capabilities of running these type of exercises. They know who they are, and it's time that they give them up.
Okay, you say we have too many MLAs and local councillors, but yet, in other ways, we are horrendously under-governed in Northern Ireland. What do you mean by that?
We're over-governed by the numbers that we have, but we're under-governed actually by the results that we get from our government. And I think that is why we have proposed the programme for government agreement should happen before we appoint ministers after the next elections, because we need more delivery, and that's the key to it. We're not getting enough delivery from the government, and that's why I'm saying we're actually under-governed in the sense of not getting enough action and enough issues that are being resolved at the government level.
What are the core principles of the Ulster Unionist Party? What are your 2 or 3 kind of core values, Tom Elliott?
Well, the Ulster Unionist Party have always stood for an inclusive society that will work together and move forward, and that will not be hampered by those who want to bring us back to the past. So our values are really to ensure that we have a much better integrated society where we just don't have a carve-up of 2 traditions or even more now living separately, that there is a proper working together within society. And I'm not just talking at the political level, I'm talking about on the ground, whereby young people have opportunities to meet and help themselves or self-help opportunities that they may not have if it wasn't the Ulster Unionist Party there to deliver. I must say, sometimes when you stretch the surface within some areas of Northern Ireland, sectarianism is alive and well and even more aggressive than it may have been 20 years ago.
Tom Elliott, you have problems going to a GAA match. That would give the appearance, if it was twisted, that in some way you were sectarian. Is there anything you can do to challenge that false perception?
Well, what I have always said is that I'm not into gestures just for tokenism. I'm not going to do something just because it seems good or it's a token. I will do things that are right and proper. I've met with the Ulster Council of the GAA to try and develop ways to make Northern Ireland a better place to live in, so that we have a better integrated society and that there's a better respect for people's traditions. And I must say, when I was growing up, quite often people from opposing traditions didn't know enough about my tradition, and I didn't know enough about theirs. So what I want to see in Northern Ireland is a mutual respect for each other. I actually have respect for the GAA tradition. It doesn't mean that I agree with their principles. It doesn't mean that I agree with what they do. But I have respect for what they want to do and believe that they have the right to do that. What I'm asking is that other people within this society and don't agree with my traditions and outlook in life actually respect my views and traditions as well.
You continue to have problems, I understand, with attending gay pride marches. If we broaden that out, what have you got for minorities, people with different lifestyles? Is the Ulster Unionist a cold house for gay people?
I have always said that provided you agree to the principles and values of the Ulster Unionist Party, it doesn't matter what tradition you come from, what background you have, you're welcome within the party. And I've always made that clear. I have met with representatives from the gay and lesbian community. There is no issue there whatsoever. We have members of our party who are from the gay and lesbian community. And I have always said, provided they adhere and agree with the principles and values of Ulster Unionism, then they're very welcome, irrespective of their background.
Tom Elliott, one of the strengths of unionism is its diversity, but there are now several unionist parties, and the danger might be that the unionist vote would split, thereby increasing the prospect of a Sinn Féin First Minister in Martin McGuinness. Should the electorate be careful in putting too many unionist party options on their ballot paper? What strategy are you hoping for?
Well, I think there has always been an issue in Northern Ireland that there have been always quite a number of unionist options on ballot papers, and that's nothing new within Northern Ireland. And I think it's important that we ensure that there's a proper transfer of votes between parties, because obviously the fundamental aim of unionism, and in particular the Ulster Unionist Party, is the retention of the link with the United Kingdom. We feel it much better socially and economically to be part of a stronger society within the United Kingdom than we would in the All-Ireland state. That has been proven over the last number of months with the economic downturn, whereby we have fared much better in Northern Ireland being part of the United Kingdom than the Republic of Ireland economy has been a much smaller situation.
So finally, Tom Elliott, and thank you for your time, why vote Ulster Unionist on May the 5th? You're going to come, at best analysis, maybe third, fourth, whatever. Are you aiming to win? Where do you think you'll end up?
Well, the Ulster Unionist Party have put candidates up in the constituencies, and with the number of candidates up that we believe we can win. We wouldn't have put them up otherwise. We don't just put candidates in there for the sake of putting them in. So we actually see that the candidates we have put there can win and have a good opportunity to win. What we want to see us doing is coming back with the largest number of MLAs possible to actually make a real difference in government in Northern Ireland. We feel that we're the party who can make that difference. We will not be shackled by others. We will do our own thing and ensure that at the same time we will put forward our policies, but in the realisation that others will have their policies as well, and try to work for a much better integrated and inclusive society.